We're live on air and we are with Kevin Charles Patterson from San Diego and Paul Levy from Fringe Review, who's with a room of people. Who are you with, Paul?
Well, currently at my table, I've got a couple of our reviewers and our photographer.
Okay.
Can we see them?
A lot of people are staying out of the rain at the moment. It's finally raining here after months.
Yeah, same here. And can you tell us a bit about Fringe Review and what you're discussing today?
Yeah, Fringe Review began in 2006. So we've got our 11th birthday coming up just about August, and we cover Fringe in different parts of the world, not the whole world. And the idea was to write passionately about shows. We ditched our star ratings a few years ago, which was a pompous and lovely thing to do. But yeah, so we're one of the few based reviewer publications where the reviewers are all practitioners rather than journalists. So they write about the theatre that they also make. And so we've been enjoying doing that now for, my God, 11 years.
Wow, that's amazing. You've done loads. And Kevin, can you tell us about your festival? And you've just literally finished, haven't you? So you're cream crackered.
Yes, completely. Well, San Diego Fringe just finished on July 2nd, and we ended up grossing more in ticket sales than we have ever. So that's wonderful. The exact amount I can't give you, but I can tell you that with the size of the festival, I'm kind of changing subjects with this. We have kept the festival small on purpose, and we will continue to do this to make sure that we're able to have as much attention on the individual participating artists as possible. And I think after listening to Steve talk about the Prague Festival, that we're approaching everything with the same type of mission, with keeping things small, still keeping things small.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's very important for us. By the way, I have to say something. Out of business, it's kind of torture to be here with you guys on the live stream, because I want to be there with you in person.
I know, and it's me.
Oh, Kev.
You do doing this with my friends. I want to be with my friends, not talk. Stop. But okay, back on track.
Where are your dogs? I want to see them.
They are with. Oh, this is not worked up at all. They're with my neighbor.
They're with you.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, we're talking about San Diego Fringe, and I am in the middle of Bend, Oregon. So we're.
I know. It's beautiful.
Another state.
Yeah, nice. So you literally finished, and you went crazily on a trip straight after.
So how did it go? How did you think? How did it go this year?
It went well. I think one thing that was nice was trying to keep the footprint even smaller, so that for audiences and artists to go from venue to venue, it's very close, and I want to try to make it even smaller. We had 2 hubs, and I know for other cities that the hubs work. This time around, it felt like one hub was much smaller than the other, so it wasn't so effective. And maybe one thing that I learned that can be helpful for other Fringe directors is to make sure that the hubs are kind of equal, or there's enough going on in both. So we want a substandard, and people go, we're just going to stay here because there's so much going on here. And then that takes away from the artists that are in the outside hub.
There was less transition between people going from one space to another. Yeah. Gosh. I'm going to ask Paul a question. Paul, have you been asking yourself some political questions today about Fringe and the importance of Fringe and why we're still here?
Yeah, and these are challenging questions. The Fringe began with just 8 shows, and it was a very good reaction against elitism and mainstream way back in 1947. And yet the whole Fringe movement is caught in a kind of disease that some people have even compared to the growth of things like cancer, which is growth for its own sake. You know, we don't have to grow. It doesn't need to be huge necessarily. And we're not really dialoguing into the fact that the Edinburgh Fringe is over 3,000 shows, and most of those people are paying thousands to play. And that certainly isn't the same spirit as was there in 47. And it could just be a good evolution, but it could be it's time to start questioning whether this is really Fringe anymore. Well, Fringes around the world that have been learned who are deliberately deciding to stay small.
Yeah. We've had 2 conversations, well, 3, San Diego just now, but also Prague Fringe this morning, and also Roman Fringe, and 2 else stayed small, Hollywood Fringe, have all decided to kind of keep it that size because they want it to be a Fringe family, and they want to be able to see as many shows as possible, and they want to get to know their artists personally as well. And there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, I have to say one thing. I'm sorry, Paul, for interrupting, but maybe this is following up along the lines of what you were talking about too. For us, one huge element for preparation and make us strong has been traveling to as many festivals as possible. And I find that the ones that are extra large can be difficult for artists to get the attention, that's for sure. And sometimes it might feel like it gets to where it's outside of the Fringe spirit. I think of our Canadian Association of Fringe Festivals having the mandate of making sure that everything is accessible, not just for artists, but accessible for audiences. So it's also putting a cap on ticket price. So you just mentioned, Paul, the cost for the artists participating. Well, it's making sure that we don't have those huge costs for the artists. And then for the audiences, the entire festival, the highest for the regular Fringe productions, the highest ticket price is $10. That in pounds. It's very low and affordable.
Quite a lot of the CAF ones are kept to an actual proper size. They don't allow them to get any bigger.
Yeah, sure. The largest festival in North America is still a reasonable size to where it all do artists still have an opportunity to be seen, and they're not lost in the big, huge.
It's about being accessible, isn't it? It's about, you know, for artists, it's just being accessible for artists and for audiences, and just so you know that they can reach out to everyone, really.
Yeah.
Part of that, I think, is also the conversation, and it's a good one, of people who organise fringes. If I was being insulting, I'd call you the civil servants of the Fringe world, but you're not. You know, you're leading and you're shaping it. But in terms of being a neutral platform, as so many fringes say, the problem with that is that that's not the artistic conversation that we are also having, and we are practitioner based. So that's questions like, why should you ever bring the same show back to a Fringe? There have to be very good reasons for that. You know, why are you just coming to this thing commercially? It doesn't do the spirit of Fringe any good just to do that and to have bigger posters than everyone else because you've got bigger budgets, because you're playing a game of money making. So the danger is the thing becomes too big for its own city, and the very people who are reacting and trying to do new work that's risky, that might not work, starts to go down unless you're guaranteed to make a loss. So the artistic conversation is, what am I doing on the fringes of my own mainstream? Bring a new show up to the Fringe. You don't just have to keep coming back. And I found it very interesting this year that Forest Fringe in Edinburgh, which was a fringe on the fringe, has been doing it for a few years, growing, becoming successful, and decided it'd probably become a bit mainstream on itself. And so the only way it can be Fringe is to go on the fringe of itself again. And they've announced they're going to probably not come back, may not be a festival at all, might become a political party or even a movie. And that spirit inspires me. So we should just also be asking, you know, why are you coming to the Fringe that's Fringe? And I think that's an awkward conversation to have. And it's not spoiling the party or being miserable or too serious. It's why Fringe began in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, quite. So, Kevin, what is your favourite thing about your Fringe?
I love that we get to use mainstream venues. You know, sometimes it's difficult to get mainstream organizations to see a way that they can complement the activity. And we've been very fortunate to have mainstream venues that are donated that helps bring exposure to the festival itself, and then also helps the artists. They're able to play these major venues. I love that element, but I would say one of my most favorite things with our festival in general is seeing our community learn about Fringe and take advantage of the platform, or use the platform as a fantastic showcase to see new producers creating new works. It's so exciting. I was thinking about this before calling you guys, and I've cried so many times watching.
Oh, I love you.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Here we go again with just the most endearing, wonderful project on stage that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the Fringe.
Yeah.
And I think it embodies kind of what Paul is talking about with the new stuff. And yeah, I think that's one of my favorite. And another thing is also, we have an element that's called emerging Fringe, where it's youth through 17 years old. So they have to be, I think the age is between 12 and 17. To see those kids go on stage, they're not allowed to take a scene from 42nd Street or from Rent or whatever and use this as part of their work. It's a scholarship program for creative youth. So, I was there with Hannah from New Zealand Fringe. We're about to go to the airport, but I was like, Hannah, let me watch a few. Out comes the girl with a guitar and she's singing a song that she just wrote. Out comes someone doing a scene from the play that he just wrote. And to see these young kids that are so talented.
Oh, Kevin, that's so lovely.
It's so beautiful. And the thing that's so interesting and so inspiring is to see that these little nuggets have the talent of what you would expect out of an adult presenting work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's, it just makes my heart explode. So yeah.
So nice.
Yes.
And I just have to support that, because there's some people who know that here down in Brighton Fringe, we
give out. Speak up, Paul.
Yeah, we give out awards at Brighton Fringe, our Outstanding Theatre Awards. We gave just one out this year, and it was through a youth theatre company. And I've actually got the reviewer with me here, Strat, and he wrote a review of a show that held its own in the professional world. It wasn't young people at all doing touching work in fun, nice, cute ways. There was no sentiment. They had reached perfection in terms of professionalism, and these people were 12, 13, 14 and broken new ground. And for me, that's another spirit of Fringe, when young people stand on the fringe of their future, and absolutely it inspires them to create brilliant work.
Yeah, totally.
That's so wonderful.
That is so wonderful.
That's been one of our focuses in Wandsworth for the last. Hello. That's been one of our focuses for the last few years in Wandsworth as well. Really, kind of doing our producer development program and getting, giving producers training and a platform and helping them to sort of come up and learn how to produce work. And it's been really successful, and really, it does make you cry.
Wow, we're all emotional Fringes.
Yeah.
Kevin, can you tell us how you interact with other festivals and other Fringes around the world, and USAF, CAF, World Fringe, all of that?
I don't know if I can answer that, because that's not in my list of questions that provided. Yes, I totally can. I first met you two at World Fringe Congress in 2012 in Scotland, and that was one of my favorite experiences of my arts career ever, to sit in a room with here's a producer from Brazil, here's a producer from the Czech Republic, here's a producer from Sweden, here's a producer from Poland. It absolutely incredible. Yeah. And I thought to myself after I left, when in my life am I in a room with this many movers and shakers from around the world?
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Since then, you guys, World Fringe, has kept us all together through social media and kept it, a tight-knit group to where we have this extra resource to reach out to. It doesn't feel like it's this once every 2 years conference. It feels more like that now we've built a relationship of having this global family. So I can call on Carrie, who's the director of Sydney Fringe in Australia, or I can call on Julian, who's the director of Brighton Fringe, or call on my other friends to ask for support for what we could do for shaping our festival. Another thing that's been wonderful is visiting our friends at their festivals to see exactly how things work. There's nothing better than being smack dab in the middle of it. Yeah. And also, aside from just going to their festivals, has been the ability to create cross-cultural exchanges. It's helpful for artists that wouldn't be able to get themselves to New Zealand otherwise. New Zealand is our most recent cross-cultural exchange. We just finished our 4th year doing a cross-cultural exchange with David at Roma Fringe in Italy. And this whole global thing has been amazing. What was that happening background?
It's amazing. And so, Kevin, you probably visited the most fringes, and Paul, you have probably covered the most fringe in your reviews. What happens? How do you interact with fringes around the world?
Well, we cover some fringes and review, and those that we can't cover, because we're very connected with the stories of those shows, is we put quite a lot of kind of interviews on. We love talking about the work, and that's something that goes on around the world. We've been growing that coverage too. What I love about our review team is that they love writing about work, and they create work, and we have quite a strong conflict of interest policy. But it is absolutely brilliant to see a show not just go around the world, but to see artists at least endeavouring to make it sustainable. And then the show that you do see that comes back to the second Edinburgh or the second Brighton has changed and developed and grown. And to follow that story is just so inspiring. And as I say, what that is about, that's about you as an artist. It's like you as an artist constantly putting yourself on the edge of your own mediocrity. Finding something new. And fringe platforms allow you to do that around the world, and taking it to new audiences, different cultures, is a way of testing your work against the different communities that are out there, rather than just your own hometown.
Yeah, right. That's really true. Yeah.
So true. Listen, guys, we've got to finish now. We've got another live one coming up with Canadian Association of Fringe Festivals as one. But
I'm getting out of here.
If you want, to leave us with any parting words of wisdom, please do. Paul.
Well, mine would be, it's a dangerous and wonderful thing to constantly put yourself on the fringe of your own mainstream.
Wow, that was deep, man. Deep. That was deep.
Good.
What about you, Kevin? What's your words of wisdom?
I would say that to artists, please, 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 if you haven't taken advantage of the opportunity that Fringe provides, please use this tool to create new and edgy work. To audiences, I say, if you haven't taken advantage of this platform, please get out there to experience new work, creative new work.
Profound. Yeah, we hear you. So we're going to say Happy World Fringe Day to you both, and we'll see you very soon, virtually or physically. We love you lots.
I miss you. Happy World Fringe Day. Paul, come to San Diego next. Bye.